I saw two images when I shuffled out the cards. I'm going to go through them one by one because I feel like one section deals, well, one image deals with this section and then the other one deals with the latter section. So first of all, I see this train is going up the hill. Okay, it's going through, it's like a overnight passenger train. It's going through what looks like the American Wild West back in the days. And so there's a lot of activity. And then, so people are like situated or seated in a row. And there's this dog. He looks like a golden retriever, and he backs himself all the way up to the end of the train. The family that owns him, they sit in the front, and he knows they're there, but like he's backing all the way up to the front, to the back of the train. And so he's looking forlorn. He's looking very forlorn, and he's looking very. It's almost like he's looking back at the past. And so the train is going through rivers, mountains, lakes, and the scenery is just really breathtaking. But the dog is backed up all the way at the end, and he's looking at what he has left behind, pretty much. And you know, dogs, they signify loyalty, okay? They do signify, to me, unconditional love. Okay, so like that's the closest you can ever truly get to unconditional love, I feel, in this world, because they remember you. They can, recognize you after years just by your scent. And no matter what the owner does to the dogs, they always love them. Okay. So I feel like that's what this is. It's all about, nostalgia. It's all about loyalty, and it's all about the sense of unconditional love. I feel for many of you, life is presenting you with new opportunities. Hence, we see this train moving, uh, tolling along a lot of weight, a lot of passengers, a lot of just baggage. It's chugging on and it's moving on, and it's moving to a new territory. And so the scenery opens up, and there's a lot of things to see, a lot of spectacles, and just a lot of new beginnings that are definitely apparent. But I definitely feel like many of you are still in a state where you're thinking about the past. And for some of you, it's out of this sense of loyalty. And the past for many of you might not have been that great, but I feel like for many of you, you have experienced a lot of first. First amazing job, first love, first relationship, even the first, it's like you have experienced many, many, many milestones or many first moments in that past situation. And because of it, you you're stuck in it, and you don't feel like you can move away to new things because your mind is still emotionally very fixated on the past. And I feel like that's what's happening here. So first of all, we have here the Hierophant in the reverse position. And when it's in the reverse position, it's basically indicates to me it was a situation where things have been very, very unstable. Okay, rules were not clearly spelled out. Okay, people didn't have clearly defined, I guess, like even tasks or even expectations from one another. Things were never really talked about. Okay, so it's spells out to me it was a situation where we kind of move along, or we took it for granted, or responsibilities and expectations were not clearly defined in a situation. So one person thinks that, oh, I'm supposed to do this, you're supposed to do that, but these things were never talked about. They were never set up. They were never agreed upon. So I do feel for many of you, this might be kind of like a love situation with another person. We have here King of Wands. In the reverse, fire sign, Sagittarius, Aries, or Leo. If you're dealing with this person in a love situation, a lot of the times, we start dating, right? Like we date casually, and then we like a person and we start dating a little bit more seriously. But we never talk about like, hey, why don't you be my boyfriend, or why don't you be my girlfriend exclusively? And let's not see other people. I don't know why, but it can feel like that conversation is very uncomfortable. And it shouldn't be that way, but you know, we feel like, no, it's too soon. I don't know how he or she feels about me. So if I were to talk about this topic right now, I don't want to scare them away. And I do feel, Pisces, you're very much go with the flow. You're very much about matching the other person's pace. And so you're not one to initiate these conversations. And so I feel like there was a situation here where you thought things were one way. You thought you might have been in a relationship, or you thought that this person is one way. And then they were looking at the situation in a completely different way. Okay. And for some of you, they might have been opportunistic, where because things were never clearly defined, because expectations were not clearly set in stone, they're just like, you know what? I'm going to milk the situation. I'm going to do whatever I want to benefit me, because the other person or the Piscean person never clearly expressed to me what they wanted. Okay. And I feel for some of you in some type of like a family dynamics where, and by family, it could be somebody, you know, like a spouse that you lived with. It could be like the mother or the father of your children. It could be your parents. So in whatever capacity, I almost feel like there was a person that didn't do their fair share of the work. They didn't put in the responsibilities. Or, you know, like for example, I feel like there's conflict here with a fire sign, Sagittarius, Aries, or Leo. And then I also feel like there's a family member, and usually a person who has a really, really strong, possibly aggressive or possibly argumentative energy about them, possibly in a work environment too, where you might be intimidated or you might be afraid of this person. Okay, so for example, they're telling you like, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you submit this on time? And even though you submitted it on time, you don't know how to defend yourself. You don't know how to express yourself in a way where you can speak up for yourself. I feel like their energy might be very intimidating, and you're not really sure how to approach this person. Okay. And then I'm also sensing as well, there is a lack of trust here. There's a lack of trust, and they might be telling you, I'm hearing, you know, stop dwelling on the past. I have here Five of Cups, and I'm hearing this from the person, okay? It's sort of like, yes, life sucks, get over it and move on. And so I feel like they're a little bit harsh when it comes to their communication, when it comes to what they want you to focus on, and things like that. And I feel almost like they're thinking that you might be fixated or focused on the wrong things, okay? Three spilled cups, two cups still behind you, and you're focusing on the wrong things. So if you are finding yourself in a conflictual situation with this person, I would say, you know, ask them, okay? Fire signs are incredibly just very straightforward. And I feel like for a fire sign, if you don't understand something, you need to speak up. And if they're telling you something that you don't understand, you have to be able to ask them, can you explain a little bit further? It's when people get quiet, that fire sign, and then later they, you know, 2 weeks later, they come back and they're like, by the way, I didn't exactly understand what you said or what you meant by blah, blah, blah. That's when they get really angry. So I feel like in a situation like this, it is best to voice our, you know, to speak out and to speak up. So there could also be a relationship partner or somebody that left a really big imprint, a really big mark in your life. For some of you, you might have had children with this person. You might have been married to this person. And you might have been extremely, very, very, very loyal to this person. Okay, you're like that golden retriever looking back at the past. And I also feel like the way that the situation unfolded, it made it very difficult for you to move on and trust again. And it made it very difficult for you to move. You've experienced so many milestones and so many firsts with that person or that situation. And so it's hard for you to kind of open yourself up and receive these new opportunities. So right now there is a situation here where two people are not talking. There's like zero communication. And there's like, I see mountains and valleys, possibly like a big geographical distance between two people, or an emotional distance, like an emotional rift where a situation cannot be put back together. And as a result of it, there is a stoppage when it comes to communication. Four of Swords, as well as Four of Pentacles. You're still clinging on to this situation, even though there isn't clear, concise, or any type of communication, or any type of breakthrough, or any type of a compromise between you and the other person. Okay? In terms of your advice, what we have here is the Hangman. The Hangman in the reverse situation. And this is pretty much telling you, you know, to kind of free yourself from this state of, where you feel very stuck. You're keeping yourself in place. You're praying for the situation even to get better. And they're saying, you know, look at things from a different perspective. Was it all that great? How did the situation unfold? Don't blame yourself over it. It takes two to tangle. And, you know, energetically, it was a situation where one person did this, the other person retaliated. And so I feel like it was just layers upon layers of miscommunication, misunderstanding, and expectations that were not clearly defined, expectations that were not clearly delegated. And so one person thought things were going to go this way, or, you know, this is my role, these are my responsibilities, and this is something I'm expecting from you. But these things were never agreed upon mutually, and they were never talked about. They were assumed, but they were never talked about. And so moving forward, what we really have to understand is we can't make assumptions. We need to be very, very clear and concise when it comes to what it is that we're trying to achieve, and what it is that is expected of us, or what it is that we are expecting of another person that we are interacting with. Okay, so this is the month for you to really speak up and not have this sense of blinded loyalty towards another person, towards a situation, towards, I keep seeing this golden retriever, and they're such sweet animals. They always bring their best, right? Like all animals, well, dogs especially, they bring their best to their owners, and they don't really expect anything in return. And it's sort of like that. You bring your best to a situation, you don't expect anything in return. And in some regards, I almost feel like you bring your best because you expect the other person also to reciprocate and give you their best. But these things were not clearly talked about. Does that make sense? So I just feel like whatever it is that you want in the future, you have to speak up, Pisces. And we can't make assumptions. And we have to be very, very clear. I'm doing this, and I'm going to expect you to do that. And I feel like that has to happen in order for you to get what you need from your future relationships, as well as from your interactions with other people, as well from your work environment. Okay. Moving forward, the next image that I saw, it's quite interesting. So I have this guy. He's on a plane. It's like it looks to me like a 1950s two-seater type of a plane. And beneath the plane is this, it's a net. It's like a bundle. It's bundled up in a net, and it's mail. So he's a mail carrier for the military. And he's flying over, a war-torn region, because he's supposed to drop off the bundle of mail for soldiers, military personnel, in designated areas. Okay, so there's an X. He's supposed to somehow drop it as close to that location as possible. Then his team will come out and retrieve that bundle of mail, bring it back to base, and then distribute it to the military personnel. So amongst the things that he's delivering, some of them are, just letters from loved ones, but some of them are care packages. Some of them as well could be like first aid, and could also be like, I don't know, whatever else that's needed at the base, right? So he has like several of these bundles. So he's flying over this jungle and he's just like looking at his map while he's flying. And he's just like, I can't find the location. I can't find the X. And he's flipping his map over, flying, circling around. He's like, I can't find the map. I can't find the X. I don't know where I'm supposed to be. So and then he thinks to himself, like, this thought definitely did cross his mind. Okay. And he's thinking like, well, I'm in the middle of nowhere. If I just drop it and call it a day, no one will know. No one will know. I could say I dropped it where I was supposed to, and then, what happened after is out of my control. But I won't get in trouble because no one will know. I'm in the middle of nowhere. And so that thought crossed his mind, and then the image kind of closed off. So that's what I ended up with. And I feel almost like many of you might be confronting this type of a situation, some type of an ethical dilemma. If I do this, if I do the wrong thing, no one will know. If I do the right thing, no one will know. If I do the right thing, it's great because, they'll get their mail. Everyone will get, whatever it is that they're hoping for. But if I do the wrong thing, there's no repercussions. There's no backlash. No one will really know. And so you're confronted with some major choices, I feel, for the rest of this month. Or you could even be dealing with somebody like that, where they are in charge of a situation. And, in the greater scheme of things, not getting letters, it can be demoralizing for the troops, but not getting, the medical supplies, that's very dangerous. Not getting the salary, the employee reimbursement, that's very dangerous too. And so you kind of, I feel like you're stuck in a situation where it's like, if you do wrong, no one will know. If someone does something wrong, no one will know. However, it is our obligation, to our job, to whoever that employed us, and to whoever that entrusted us with that responsibility to try to do the right thing, to always do the right thing, because other people depend on us. Even though we might not feel a situation is important, even though we might not even agree, but when you sign up for a specific responsibility, you sign up for a job, and you come in, clock in, and do your 9 to 5, and then you clock out. There is an unspoken, once again, an unwritten expectation that is agreed upon by two parties. I'm going to pay you this, and in exchange, I expect you to deliver the mail. Okay, and I expect you to know what you're doing, to be competent, to be able to navigate, to be able to fly the plane, to be able to drop this bundle off where it's supposed to go. Unwritten, unspoken agreements. And so it is our duty, it is our obligation to hold up our end of the bargain. I feel that for some of you. And then I also feel for others of you, you might be once again dealing with this situation, dealing with a person that is reneging on their responsibilities, and they're just like, it doesn't really matter, no one will know, there's no ramifications, I'm not going to get any type of reprimand for doing this. And so I feel like there is somebody like that in your environment. We have possibly an air sign, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. These people are very, very crafty. They're very, very intelligent. And when it's in the reverse, I often think of situations where people kind of cut corners because they know a faster way to do things. Okay, so I feel like there is a situation here that you are contending with as well, with an air sign who might be in a position like this. Or I also feel like you're contending with a situation where strategically I almost feel like you're in an ethical dilemma, and you're trying to rationalize or reason why you should take a specific course of action, even though it might not be good for you, or whether or not you should, shake the demons away and try to do the right thing. So I feel like you're confronted with some type of an ethical dilemma. I'm feeling for some of you as well, okay? I feel like, well, we have a couple here, and this is why I'm saying it. We have here the King of Cups, and we have here the Queen of Cups, okay? The Queen of Cups is in the reverse position. And so it seems to me like there is definitely a couple here, and there's another person that could potentially be interfering as well. So it's that ethical dilemma. If I do it, if I do this one act that's very unethical, if I succumb to temptation, nobody's gonna know. No one will ever know. If I do the right thing, that's great. If people get their mail, but in the greater scheme of things, I don't feel like mail is that important. I feel like that's what's going through your head. It's like the situation, if I do the right thing, that's great. But if I do the wrong thing, no one will know. So if there are no backlash, no consequences, then why do we all bother to do the right thing? So I feel like you're grappling with this. You're grappling with some type of a major, major dilemma. So let's talk about something else that is coming through very strongly. I would urge you, Pisces, I feel like at the end of the day, you guys are really good people. You guys are very good people. You are very sympathetic, empathetic, and I feel like you wouldn't want to hurt a fly. Okay, like you have really big hearts, and you have a very generous spirit about you. And I feel like if you were to go astray, or if you were to do something that goes against your conscience, it might not bother you the first few days, but at the end of the day, at the end of your life, I feel like you're always going to look back, and you're always going to, it's going to eat at you, okay? And that's the nature of guilt. It comes back and gnaws at us, kind of like that Edgar Allan Poe. It's the one where the heart is, the murderer feels the heart beating underneath the floorboards. I don't know the name of that story. The Telltale Heart. Okay, so it's almost like our guilty conscience always comes back and gnaws at us. And then if you're dealing with this energy in another person, I feel like they're going to get their karma. They're going to get their karmic justice. They're going to get their day of reckoning. So things always have a way of working themselves out in divine timing. And so we always want to aim to do the right thing. And we always want to make sure responsibilities, obligations, expectations are clearly spelled out between two parties, any two parties, work parties, love relationship partners, friends, family. There's another thing that, one last thing I want to end this with. I feel like there is a big attraction here, Ace of Wands, an attraction to a new situation that you haven't, it's like mind-blowing attraction that you haven't felt in a really long time. Okay? And I feel like you're out of your sense of loyalty, you're holding back, which is good. I feel like, that's good. But I also feel for some of you, there's an attraction that you felt that you haven't felt in a really long time, but you're single, but you're still very much stuck on a past situation, and you're, the disappointments from the past, and you don't want to repeat. So make sure that you are aware that, you're dealing with new people. Give it the benefit of the doubt, okay? And then the other last thing that I want to mention, and I promise it's the last thing. You're dealing with someone who is a little bit critical of you. Fire sign or air sign. And fire signs, air signs are critical in general, but I feel like this fire sign is losing patience. So Aquarius, Gemini, Libra, Sagittarius, Aries, Leo. And I feel like this might be a family member. And so obviously this is not going to apply for all. I feel for some of you, this is a male family member, possibly your child, possibly it's like somebody who might be in their 30s and their 40s. They're a king, okay? And They haven't agreed with the way that you've done things in the past. And I feel like every time you talk to them, you feel like they're always criticizing you. But just keep in mind, when we're dealing with family members, we have so much baggage, so much history with them, that every time they criticize us, it triggers something in us and we kind of just tune them out and stop listening. I feel like there's like way too much history between the two of you that you can't look at each other objectively. There's way too much that has been said, that has been done, that has been seen between the two people, that the situation can't be fixed. Can't be fixed. I feel for some of you, if this is a child, they felt almost like they were put on the back burner. They felt like you didn't protect them. And I don't know why that is. And then for others, I feel like this is a child that is very, very opinionated, very strong. And so you might have felt like, oh, they're independent, they can protect themselves. I don't have to, be the mother hen or the father hen. But I feel like they needed you. They needed you. So if there is anger and resentment coming from their end because of some type of a situation where they felt like you weren't available when they needed you, or they felt like you weren't there for them, I want you to, listen. I feel like they're not able to verbalize that. Once again, expectations. They expected you certain things from you, but they never expressed it. And we can't blame children for not being able to verbalize what they need because they might not be aware. They might not have the skills. They might not have the awareness to even realize, you know what, I need this. I need mom. I need dad. And so it's a situation that I know a lot of things have happened between the two of you, but I feel like things can still be fixed as long as we are aware, as long as we are looking at what they're saying to us and reflecting, and as long as we are going through retracing our history. And that might be why, this golden retriever keeps looking at the past, because it's pointing you to look at the past and look at what has transpired. And if the person is lashing out at you in anger and they're not able to communicate, I feel like there's something there that deals with abandonment and neglect. Okay, so it's just something I want you to look at, especially for those of you who have children. I'm going to leave it at that, Pisces. It's not overall like a bad reading. I don't feel that it is, but I feel like the energy, even for Aquarius too, it was quite heavy. But I feel like, you have new opportunities coming into the picture. These are just areas that you kind of need to purge and cleanse and clear up before you can, take that train to the next location, to the next phase of your life, to move forward. Okay?